human being is a social animal. We interact with others and coexist in group formations called society. To make our life smoother in our day-to-day interactions with others, every individual should be assured of certain kinds of treatment. It is called rights. Rights refer to the conditions and protections that cannot be breached or taken away by others, even by the government. Human beings are entitled to some basic rights just by virtue of being human. They are called human rights. Some basic human rights are equality, respect, dignity, etc. Historically, even these basic rights were denied to many. Everyone was not treated equally. Discrimination were widespread. Slavery was accepted socially. Kings and nobles had overwhelming powers. Powerful people exploited the weak ones. Some raised their voice against it to defend their rights. In 1600s, English philosopher John Locke was one of the first to suggest that all people were born with natural rights. Locke described three fundamental rights: the right to life, the right to liberty, the right to property. Many have struggled and fought to defend and expand their rights. Some notable rights-based struggles in the world were the American and French revolutions, the anti-slavery movements of the 19th century, the American civil rights movement in the 1960s. Even the Indian freedom movement was aimed at the realization of rights of the Indians. Even before independence, fundamental rights were discussed in the Nehru Report released in 1928 in response to the Simon Commission's insult about the Indians. The report claimed to be a constitutional document. It was written in a legal style containing 22 chapters and 87 articles. Fundamental rights such as right to free expression and opinion, equality before the law, right to bear arms, freedom of religion, right to free and elementary education, all these rights were provided under the Nehru Report. When India got independence, some of these rights were given legal protection by including it in the constitution. Since these rights are utmostly important to an individual's peaceful existence and holistic development, they are popularly called as fundamental rights. Fundamental rights serves two functions. It prevents the state from encroaching on an individual's liberty. At the same time, it also places an obligation on the state to protect the citizens' rights from encroachment by society. Part 3 of the Indian Constitution discusses about fundamental rights in the Articles 12 to 35. These rights are categorized into 6 groups. Those are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. First, we shall look into the right to equality. Equality is defined as a situation in which everyone has the same rights and advantages. Indian Constitution attempts to bring equality in our lives in the following ways: equality before law and equal protection of the laws. All are equal before law. It prohibits discrimination by the state on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, or any of them. At the same time, blindly applying the concept of equality sometimes do harm when the subjects are in unequal circumstances. If the circumstances and other parameters are not equal, equality cannot be truly established. Such situations demands the state to give special treatment to persons in different situations in order to establish equality amongst all. It is implied in the principle equal protection of the laws. Equals would be treated equally, while unequals would have to be treated unequally. To establish equality in a society, discrimination by the state should be prohibited. Article 15 prohibits discrimination by the state on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, or any of them. Equality of opportunity in matters of public employment is assured under Article 16. Untouchability is an age-old heinous social practice. Many were suffered and humiliated due to this practice. Article 17 of our Constitution abolishes the practice of untouchability. The practice of untouchability in any form is an offense, and anyone doing so is punishable by law. All these articles are aimed at ensuring equality in our lives. Freedom is the power to act, speak, or think as one wants. It defines the ability of an individual to express himself without constraints. Our Constitution guarantees the following freedoms to all citizens: freedom of speech and expression, to assemble peacefully and without arms, to form associations or unions, to move freely throughout the territory of India, to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India, and to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. All these freedoms are guaranteed under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. Our Constitution protects a citizen from conviction of an offence arbitrarily by the state. By this, the state is prevented from employing its overwhelming powers to convict somebody arbitrarily. An individual cannot be subjected to prosecution and conviction for the same offence more than once. An individual cannot be compelled to be a witness against himself. Individual's life and personal liberty is given utmost importance and given protection under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Exploitation is the act of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. Exploitation hinders the individual from enjoying his freedom. Fundamental rights guards an individual against exploitation. Constitution prohibits traffic in human beings, begging and other similar forms of forced labor, child labor. Article 24 of our Constitution states that no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or in any other hazardous employment. Specifically, freedoms related to religion are also granted to our citizens under the Indian Constitution. Right to freedom of religion covered in Articles 25, 26, 27 and 28 provides religious freedom to all citizens of India. The objective of this right is to sustain the principle of secularism in India. According to the Constitution, all religions are equal before the state, and no religion shall be given preference over the other. Citizens are free to preach, practice and propagate any religion of their choice. In the case of Bal Patil vs. Union of India, the reason behind the enactment of Articles 25 to 28 of the Constitution was discussed at length. The court observed that in the background of partition, it was felt necessary to allay the apprehensions and fears in the minds of Muslims and other religious communities. It was achieved by providing a guarantee of security to these minorities to maintain the integrity of the country. In India, minorities are classified on the basis of religion and language. Minorities naturally fear about the dominance of majority communities. To allay their fear, they are provided some special rights to protect their culture under the Constitution. All minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer education institutions of their choice. Individuals have to given protection to defend their rights if they are violated, or else fundamental rights will be of no use. That's why the right to defend fundamental rights itself given as a fundamental right under the Indian Constitution. If an individual's fundamental rights are violated, the individual can approach the Supreme Court or High Court directly. Article 32 grants a right to move the Supreme Court for the enforcement of their rights. Right to move to the High Court for the enforcement of any of the fundamental rights is granted under Article 226 of the Indian Constitution. After hearing all these facts, you may think the fundamental rights are supreme and they cannot be touched. In reality, it is not the case. For example, freedom of speech is granted under Article 19. Still, your speech is restricted. For example, if you talk against our country, it will amount to treason. Fundamental rights are not an absolute one. There are reasonable restrictions on every fundamental right.